Hello, welcome back to Quilts Bloom at Dawn. Today we're going to be making the blocks for the last fall project that we've been working on, and that is our Bountiful Baskets. So we'll be making these today, and then next week we'll go ahead and make our star blocks, and we'll be finishing this project up pretty quickly. Then we get to turn our attention to Christmas. And I know last week I gave a tease and I showed you the little fat quarter bundle that I had. And this is the primary Christmas project that I'm looking forward to making this year. And it is Tilda. I'm so excited. I ended up getting her Merry Little Christmas Fat Quarter Bundle collection. I fell in love with it. I did not need more Christmas fabric, but I had to have this one. This was so beautiful. I had to have this collection. So I did go ahead and get this bundle, and I not only fell in love with the collection, but I fell in love with the pattern that I saw that accompanied it. And that is the Winter Birds pattern. And I'm going to go ahead and pop it up here so you can see it. Now, there's actually a couple different colorways. She has it in burgundy, or she has it in more of a teal color. So you really can do either one. And the great news about Tilda's patterns, most of them are free. I did not even know that. I just recently found that out. So you can go to her website and download. I think I downloaded over 40 patterns. I was just so excited, but this one especially I fell in love with. Of course, I love birds, and then combine birds and Christmas. Oh, how could we not enjoy that? So I'm really excited about making this project using the Tilda fabric. Now, I don't even know if I have enough to do, especially like my background. So I just went to my own stash just to see if I didn't have this, what would I use to achieve a similar look. So I just wanted to show you, you likely may have something you can just pull from if you don't have or want to purchase this fat quarter bundle right now. And I know it was going pretty quickly, so I'm not even sure if it's available. You probably can check it out and see. But I did want to just show, like, for my own stash, this is what I pulled, and it's, again, it's not all Christmas. I just literally just pulled things that I thought would sort of create that look that I was going for. And so this was my, now I haven't pulled a lot of the greens, but this is one that I pulled. And look at all these reds that just kind of blended with this. And so if I needed more, I could use it. So I just wanted to show, this is actually from Laundry Baskets, these two right here, from the Lighthouse collection. So anyway, you can just see I really just pulled. Here's another one of Laundry Baskets right here. So I just used a variety of different fabrics, just pulled different things. I don't even know what all of these are. They're just some that I've kind of picked up along the way when I get a good deal. You notice on the picture, it does have a fair amount of that burgundy. So you've got the burgundy and you've got the white. So I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to need yet. I haven't really dissected the pattern and the cutting and all of that yet. But I will be going in looking a little bit more closely at that soon. But I didn't want to wait any longer. I wanted to go ahead and share with you the quilt that I'll be doing for Christmas. I may do more, but at this point, I don't want to overcommit myself. Between all of our Nantucket summer projects, and then immediately following that, we started all of our fall projects. I have so many quilts that need to be quilted, so I didn't want to overdo it. I wanted to just kind of hold up a little bit, kind of catch up with my quilting side of it. Piecing's only half of it. You know, after you piece it, if you quilt your own, that's a whole process. So I need to get busy working on that. So I didn't want to overcommit myself, especially around the holidays. Y'all know Thanksgiving, Christmas, it just gets really busy. And a lot of times we end up thinking all these great things we're going to do. And the reality is we choose the busiest time of the year to try to tackle so many projects. So I didn't want to overcommit. So that's why you only see one project right now, and that is the Tilda. However, in addition to making the quilt, she also has this as stockings as well as a pillow pattern. So I may go ahead and keep going and make a little bit more. It looks like it's the same, just additional blocks really. So I'm likely going to try to fit in a few more of these other projects along with this. So we'll see, but that's at this point, that's my primary goal, is to make this Tilda pattern, and it is called Winter Birds Quilt. I will include a link in the description for you to go ahead and download this pattern, but I encourage you, once you check this one out, if you see any other Tilda patterns you like, go ahead and download them. They're free. So some of you may have also noticed I happen to be wearing the swoon from Nantucket Summer. I was so excited a couple months ago that one of you actually shared with me, when you realized how much I love Nantucket Summer, one of you actually shared with me that there's someone out there that actually makes t-shirts and sweatshirts, and that they're called Heartmade is the name of the company. Now they don't actually sell year round, they basically do drops throughout the year. So they did one that was just focused on Nantucket Summer, and so I was able to get a t-shirt as well as this sweatshirt. I've just been waiting for it to be cold enough to actually get to wear the sweatshirt. So that's what this is, and I'll also include a link to their website, Heartmade. I would encourage you to, at this point, just to go ahead and sign up to get emails about when they have drops coming out. They do different collections, they have different styles. So I encourage you to check it out. This is also the time of the year when I begin thinking of what my quilting plans are for next year. So for 2026, I'm just beginning to get some thoughts of what I want to do. And just recently, Kimberly Jolly of A Fat Quarter Shop, on her YouTube channel, she just recently shared about her 2026 quilt plans that she's planning to do, quilt-alongs, sew-alongs that she has going on. So I definitely wanted to hear what she was going to be doing. I typically end up loving some of her projects, so I wanted to hear that before I made my own decisions. Definitely encourage you to check that out if you haven't already, because not only does she show the plans for 2026, she always shares new products that are coming out as well as new fabric collections, and I just love to be able to get that up close look since a lot of my purchases for fabric is online. It's great to be able to see the collections, and she just shows you fabric by fabric. I always appreciate that. One of the quilting projects that Kimberly Jolly has selected is from the Celebrate with Quilts book. And if you recall, we recently used this same book to make the Blue Willow quilt. And I'm very excited to come back to this book. I love this book. I love the quilts in here. I love the layout. So I'm really excited to get to make something else from this. And I love to be able to actually use my books. So many times we buy books and they sit on the shelf. We don't ever actually make anything from them. So I always love it when I can actually use the books that I purchase. So the particular quilt that she highlighted was the Peppermint Rose Quilt. And it's on page 138 and it goes through page 145 in the book. Now, I'll be honest, when I looked through this book, the many times that I've looked through it, this particular quilt did not jump out at me. It is a sampler quilt. However, when I saw Fat Quarter Shop, they did a pop-up, and again, they are doing a little bit different layout. When I saw what they were doing, I fell in love with it. And I went on ahead and snapped a picture of their layout. This is literally from the video, so it's probably kind of grainy, but I wanted you to get to see it. And it's actually done in more of a patriotic look. Kimberly Jolly is using this to basically celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country. So that's one of the reasons she selected this. So you see it definitely has a little bit more of a patriotic feel to it, but she's actually using the Rosie collection from Fig Tree. Honestly, I love it. I love everything about this. I love the background. It's the eyelet from Fig Tree, and then she's using that new Rosie collection. It's not even out yet, but it's coming soon. And I'm likely going to go ahead and pick some of that up because I want to make this quilt the exact same layout that Kimberly's doing. So this is one that I'm planning to do, and it is a project that's going to be going on for few months. I believe this project is set to start in February. This is one that I'm definitely planning to try to go ahead and join in on. Now, this isn't the only patriotic quilt that I'm hoping to do for this year. I have been eyeing another one. It's a laundry basket one called Sparklers. Obviously, I'm not going to do it early in the year, but at some point next year, likely closer to the middle of the year, headed into June, July, I'm hoping to make that pattern. All of this is subject to change because I end up a lot of times selecting more than I can ever possibly do, but this is one that I've been wanting to make for a while. The other project that I know I'm planning to participate in, Fat Quarter Shop's Mystery Block of the Month. I'm already currently doing that for the 25-26 year, and it's using the A Bloom collection. I just look forward to participating. I love the fact that you don't know what you're gonna get. I always know I love the collection because you know that up front, but I get excited each month to get my package of fabric, the pattern, and it's just something I look forward to making every month. So I definitely am finishing that one out. But for 26-27, I was so excited. She's using my favorite designer's fabric collection that's just coming out, and that is Camille Ross Kelly. And she has a new collection. You've probably seen it. It's the most adorable collection, and it is called A Cat Named Stitch. And it is named after her adorable little kitten. And I'm popping up some pictures so you can see. Oh my goodness, it's just the most darling collection. There's actually only one fabric in the whole thing that actually has cats on it. So while it's inspired by cats, if you're not a cat person, that's okay. You can still love this collection. It's gonna be beautiful. So this is the collection that Fat Quarter Shop is going to be using for their mystery block of the month for 26-27. So I'll definitely be participating in this one as well. And I'm thinking I might go ahead and demonstrate each of these blocks throughout the year. That's something I haven't been doing, but I think I might go ahead and include that as part of the video each month, is to go ahead and do that demonstration. I'm going to mention a couple other patterns that I kind of have on my mind for doing early in 2026. Again, I haven't committed to anything yet, but when I'm going through them, these are the ones that are bubbling up to the top. So one of those is a Camille pattern called Home. I have been wanting to do a quilt that was just houses. I haven't done one yet, and so I really loved this one. I haven't decided when I'm going to do this one or which fabrics. I will likely pull from what I already have here. I still have so many of the Nantucket Summer and Shoreline fabrics, so I will likely pull from my own stash to make this quilt home. Another project that I want to do in January while it's still pretty cold, and that is, believe it or not, another project from this Celebrate with Quilts. And that is the Blueprint quilt. And that's on starts on page 102. And I'll pop a picture up so you can see it. So this is a very simple pattern to make. And I have some flannel fabric that I have been holding on to for a while, waiting for the right project. And I think this is it. I've been looking for a pattern that was fairly simple, just basically squares and rectangles, and this is the one that has really caught my eye. So I love the way they have this pattern in the colors they've chosen, but I thought, wouldn't it be beautiful in flannels for winter? It's basically made up of 3 blocks. One of them is called the Antique Tile Blocks. That's probably the most detailed block in this, and it's, again, just squares and rectangles. Besides that, you basically have what they call their blueprint squares and the 9-patch squares. That's it. It's really just those 3 blocks and then some actual just large blocks of nothing but your solids. So I think this one will be a fairly quick pattern to make and will make a beautiful flannel quilt. So this is one that I'm definitely hoping to do in January. Again, I'm not fully committing to it, but that's one that I would like to do. And so if we make that one, that will actually be 3 quilts made out of this one book. And I love that. That means it's not just a book to look at for pretty pictures. It's actually a book you're using. The last quilt that I wanted to mention, and it's one I would definitely like to do, Laundry Basket. They've just completed a mystery quilt. I did not participate in that, but I've been following what's been going on, and they just released the final one that I believe it was week 9. So it was like a 9-week quilt along that they were doing. So this one is called the Tennessee quilt. It is beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and pop it up here for you to see it. I love this quilt. So it looks like you start out in the center and then you just work your way out. Each week is what they must have done to make it as big as it is. It doesn't look that difficult. You just break it down into sections, which is obviously what they did. And I still have plenty of my Sewing Bird collection, which that's the colorway, but they show a number of colorways. Another one I'll show is the Lighthouse collection, but she shows it in a variety of options. So really whatever fabrics you have, you can make it come to life with this beautiful quilt. If you are interested in this quilt, I encourage you to go ahead and download it now for free. If you aren't already subscribed to her blog, go ahead and do that. Once you're subscribed to her blog, you'll be able to go in and actually download all the different patterns for all of the 9 weeks, which is what I did. So I now have in my quilting files under Laundry Basket, the Tennessee quilt. Again, it's its own folder with all 9 weeks. So if you would prefer a printed pattern, or if you want to wait for a digital one that has it all put together, that'll be a paid option for you soon. But if you want to go ahead and get this for free, now's your opportunity. So I'm not sure when I'll actually make the Tennessee quilt, but it's definitely one that I want to make soon. Isn't it so much fun just coming up with what you want to make? I just love just looking at all the pictures, whether it's online, on the videos, in my books, going through all my patterns. I have so much fun just browsing and thinking of what I can do next. The tough part is not biting off more than you could chew, which is what I'm notorious for doing. So I'm really trying to restrain myself for Christmas, like I said, with just doing this Tilda collection. If I happen to get this project done, along with quilting all of the quilts that I have stacked ready for me, then I may pick up one other one that I've been eyeing, but I won't let myself go there. I want to just stay on top of my projects and work through all of my unfinished projects before I move on. Well, now that we have spent some time talking about our Christmas project and even looking ahead to 2026, it's time to go back to our last fall quilt, and we're going to go ahead and make a Bountiful basket. All right, so this is what we're actually making, this beautiful Bountiful basket. Oh my goodness, I love this block. Okay, so I'm going to set this one aside, and we'll go ahead and go over everything we need. Again, the letters is just something that I created. It's not actually in the pattern. The first thing though is what I have labeled A and B and H. These are actually the 6.5 inch squares that are needed to make the half square triangles using the triangles on a roll. So here is the triangles on a roll, and I did recently do a demonstration a couple videos back, so I encourage you to check that out. So I'm not going to actually take the time to do this now, but if you are going to do this, you literally just cut one of these squares right here and put your fabrics, whatever fabrics you're using, you put them right sides together and put it behind this and just pin it, and then sew all along these stitch lines, these dashed lines, and you do that on all of those, and then you just cut on the solid lines. So when you're done, you end up with the total of 8 half square triangles. Now I have already done this, and here are my half square triangles that I made, and look at that. Doesn't it make such accurate half square triangles? I was just so pleased with how well these came out. So this is what I'll be using as opposed to demonstrating the triangles on a roll. Since we just did that, I'm just going to go ahead and use the ones that I've already made. All right, so this is what's going to be used. These two rectangles here are going to be used to make the basket that's going to hold our half square triangles. And then the C is what's going to fold those corners of the D rectangles. Then we have what I have labeled as E. That's a sashing strip that's going to go right here below. The two F's are going to be on either side of our rectangle. So all of that together, all of these right here make up this bottom part. In addition to that, we have our two G squares that are going to be used to fold these corners. So this is everything that we need to make this bottom half of this block. The only thing that we'll need to make the top half are the half square triangles, and we'll need a total of 6 of these half square triangles, along with 2 squares, which we're going to actually go ahead and cut on the diagonal. I'll go ahead and do that real quick now, so we'll have that done. Get that lined up. Okay, so this is actually going to make these bottom sections right here, so we will need a total of 4 of these. And then the K's will actually sew these right here. So that's all that we need to make the top half. But I'm going to set this aside so we can just focus right now on making the bottom half of our basket. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and take our 2D rectangles along with our C squares, and we're going to go ahead and fold these corners. And I'll be using the Mini Simple Folded Corners ruler to do that. If you don't have that, I've mentioned it just about every time I do a video because I love it. It makes quilting so much easier to have that. So we'll be folding out all 4 of these corners. So I just go ahead and lay this right there on the edge, get it lined up, and then I lay my Mini Simple Folded Corners ruler where the line here lines up right with the bottom of it, and then it's going to intersect at a point, and there's the intersection. It's nice and straight, and then I simply cut. And by doing this, I'm cutting and marking at the same time. Go ahead and pin that. And I'm going to do this as well to this side. Notice I changed my orientation so it'll fold the right way. And I'm going to go ahead and get this done to the other rectangle, same way. And once I get the other one done just the same way, I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and I'm going to go ahead and stitch it down 1/4 inch away. If I did not have this ruler, I would do it just as the directions said, which would be to go ahead and put a diagonal pencil marking down the center. Then I would go ahead and sew on that line. So if I was doing this, I would have this marked. I would take this over to the sewing machine and go ahead and do a diagonal line right down that center. Then I would do my cutting 1/4 inch away from that. So you can see this just saves a couple steps by doing it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and get these folded as well. Then I'm going to go get this sewn and pressed, and we'll take a look. So now that I have all of these corners folded, I'm ready to go ahead and put these together. And I'm going to go ahead and sew this down. After I do that, I'm going to go ahead and take 2 of my F's and I'm going to sew this. This will go on either side. This will go like this. And then this will go on either side. Then I'm going to go ahead and sew this E, this long sashing piece below. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of this section done. So this seam first, then these 2 sides, and then this. then we'll take a look. The bottom half is almost done. All we have left is I'm going to take the 2G squares, and again, this is my marking, so you'll just basically take whatever you have marked, and this is again that lighter fabric. So this is going to actually make just like mine did. It's going to go, we're going to do folded corners here because what we're essentially doing is making a large square and a square, right? So we're basically going to fold out these two bottom corners using these squares. Now I'm pulling out my larger folded corners ruler. If I did not have this, again, I would do a diagonal line, sew that line, and then cut a 1/4 inch away. However, since I have it, I'm going to go ahead and put it on here. Now, since this is what we want cut, right, and so it'll fold out this way, I'm going to need to turn it. You have to be so careful with that. That's the one thing. You don't want to get ahead of yourself. All right, so I'm going to line that up. Go ahead and do this cut. So this is enough to definitely save for another project. Now, the one thing I do want to mention, you want to be careful. You don't want to lose that point right there. You notice we're pretty far away. So if you're worried about it, you'll want to just use your polka pen. And so you know where it's at. Again, I don't think we're going to be coming too close to it. I think we're good, but I just wanted to highlight that. Okay, once I get this sewn, I'm going to do the identical thing to this side, just like this. Fold this one back, and then I'll get this pressed, and we'll take a look. All right, the bottom half of our Bountiful basket is complete. So we're ready to go ahead and turn our attention to the top half, and so this is basically what we're focused on now. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and do our layout for our half square triangles. So if you haven't made these, you'll want to definitely go ahead and make these first. So we're going to go ahead and do 3 on this row, 2 on this row, 1 on this row. Then we're basically going to be coming back through like this. And that is how we're essentially making our triangle. So we're going to go ahead and just sew these in rows. So I'll go ahead and chain piece these, and press them. I will make sure I press them, one row going one direction, one going the next, so that way they'll nest nicely when we start sewing our rows together. Now we're ready to go ahead and sew our rows together. And if you notice, I made sure when I press them that they're all going opposite, so they're all going to nest nicely. Except that got turned. Okay, so I will go ahead and get this pinned. And it came right through where we wanted it on the other side. Just want to make sure I put it in right here at this point. You're hoping it's going to pop through right there at that point, and it did. If not, you just kind of have to maneuver it. And then I go ahead and put one more here. So this stays in place for us to sew that. I'm going to go ahead and sew this one. Excuse me, I'm going to pin this one right here. So I'll just chain piece this. Okay, once I get this sewn together, I'm going to go ahead and come back and pin this to this, get that stitch down, then I'll get this pressed and we'll take a look. All right, and now we are ready to add our triangles. Look how quickly this is coming together. It looks so intimidating when you first see it, but it's really not when you break it down. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this. Now again, you're going to want to, of course, leave some edges there on either side. It's going to be hanging off a little bit, and that's okay. That's what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and start my pinning in the middle. I usually like to turn it over. So I like to see where my pin is going. I don't want to lose my points. Okay, I'm going to go get this sewn and pressed, and then we'll take a look. All right, this half is done, and I will go ahead and trim this off now. And same with this, so it doesn't get in the way. Okay, now we're ready to do the same thing to this side. Again, I'm going to turn this over. I don't want to lose my points. This just lets me see what's happening on this side when I'm sewing it. It also seems to go through the machine easier than having to go over all of these seams. All right, I'm going to go get this sewn and pressed and trimmed, and then we'll take a look. So we're down to our last seam. Can you believe how quickly this has come together? So we'll go ahead and put right sides together, get this pinned. I always pin on either side first, then I come back to the center. And again, I'm looking at where my points are. Don't want to lose any of my seams. I think the rest of this is laying pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sewn and pressed, and we'll take a final look at our block. All right, and our basket block is complete. The last step was just to go ahead and measure it up. This is a 12-inch finished, so it should be a 12.5-inch when we measure it up. So you just want to do that, and then it's done. So you'll want to go ahead and make a total of 13 of our basket blocks. So next week, we're going to pick up where we left off today with our Bountiful Baskets. We're going to go ahead and make the other block, and that is our star block. Now this one is actually going to come together even more quickly than our basket did because it's almost all half square triangles. So if you're using your triangles on a roll paper, you'll want to go ahead and work on that. Make a lot of them. And I went through earlier and told you the total numbers that you needed. So we will actually pick up next week, assuming that all of those half square triangles are made. And so this, like I said, this is actually, if you've done that, it's really just sewing it together. So that'll be quick. In addition to this, I'll be demonstrating the square and a square. We have 2 of these in different sizes. Again, I'll be demonstrating this using the foundation paper. If you're not using that, then you'll go ahead and do it just as the pattern lists. But this is my first time to do the foundation paper using the square and a square. So I'm really pleased with how these are coming out, and I'll be demonstrating this next week along with making our star blocks. Once we do that, we'll be ready to go ahead and lay this quilt out and finish it up just in time to start a Christmas project. And I hope you're going to be joining me to make this beautiful Tilda pattern. Like I said, if you have Tilda fabric, great. If you don't, look and see what you have in your stash. My guess is you likely have something just like I did. I really had some fabrics I could use for that. Now I did go ahead and splurge and get this beautiful collection. However, if you don't have that, pull from what you have and make this beautiful winter birds pattern with me. Again, I will include that link in the description for you to go ahead and click on it, download this pattern along with all the Tilda patterns that you like, and we'll be getting started on this project very soon. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, happy quilting!